My name is Jack, and I have been a professional international DJ for over 15 years. And in this video, I'm going to be reacting to some of your DJ mixes that you have sent in, hopefully providing some feedback on things that you have done well and giving tips and advice on things that you can improve on to try and help you and everyone watching at home become a better DJ. Let's get into it. Alright, so the first person we have here is called BYME. What I normally do when I do these reviews is I normally watch the mixes beforehand and get ready with some notes and provide feedback. But on this video, I thought I'd do something slightly different and just watch the DJ mixes and react live to them. So I have no idea what's coming up in these DJ mixes. I will be reacting live to them. But first impressions is actually really good. This layout is really good. We have the DJ controller with the DJ software above. This is the perfect setup if you do want to send me any videos for feedback, but it's also really good and interactive for YouTube as well. And these kind of mixes also work well on social media. Some of my biggest videos that I have had have been set up and laid out exactly like this, just with a DJ controller and the record box waveforms above. Alright, so let's give this mix a watch and listen to how it sounds. Alright, using a loop on a vocal. Alright, nice. Alright, so just a couple of things on that mix. That's a really good start. I do suggest to my students that I teach that when they do videos like this and put them on YouTube, to try and start with something that catches the audience's attention straight away. And already within, 37 seconds, we've had a mix in there that's quite advanced as well, with a loop building up with quite a lot going on. This is a really good way to start a mix. Very energetic, gets to the point straight away. And then throughout the mix, you can maybe slow it down and taper it off a little bit more. But you do want to try and catch the audience's attention straight away in the video, just the same with any other kind of video. On the technical side, the loop was actually done really well. It was perfectly in time. It was reduced down really well as well in time with the other track. And then we also did a hot cue jump as well to the second phrase, I think it is, of the drop. I'm not sure if that's completely necessary. I'm not too sure about these tracks, but it sounded good and it fit really well. Let's keep listening. Yeah. All right, so we're straight into the next track. No messing around. Alright, so what I like here though, I'm going to point out is that the track on the right hand side isn't being mixed directly with the intro. It's actually being mixed over a break. Now, if this is done well, it can sound good. And from what I'm seeing on this track on the right now, there's not many sounds in it. So you can see on the waveform here on the second one down, it's a very small waveform. There's not much really going on, which means it's actually okay to mix with. And this is actually a technique that I teach in my DJ course under the bracket of momentum mixing. So it's a term that I have coined momentum mixing, where it's a way of mixing your tracks together that keeps the momentum going on the dance floor. It's not technically correct, but it's the best thing for the audience at that time on the dance floor. And there's a few tracks that I actually mix with just like this over the break, so it goes into the main part of the track a little bit faster. So this could actually sound good. So I'm interested to hear how this sounds. Alright, yeah, nice. So it goes straight into the vocal of the next track. So what it's done is it missed out the section on this track that might actually be really flat and lose the energy and the momentum on the dance floor. So this is actually really good timing, quite advanced. Alright, quite a bit of clashing there. I think it's a bit of a wordplay. I'm not sure if I like that last phrase. Quite a lot going on. Alright, now we're building up. Alright, straight into it. Alright, so what they're doing there is they keep tapping the cue button and then beat matching with the finger on the jog wheel. Now this is, again, I didn't actually create this video to plug my course, but why not? One of the techniques that I use in teaching my course as well is to create loops, so you don't have to keep pressing the hot cue. So you just create a loop over, let's say, 32 beats of where you want to mix. Then you get the beats in time, you can leave it in. It will keep resetting back to that hot cue every time, but also stay in time with the other track. So you only have to beat match it once instead of having to keep pressing the hot cue button and then line it up with your fingers on the jog wheel. All right, so try using a loop there as well instead of a hot cue. So you can see that they keep pressing the hot cue and then getting the beats in time. Just use a loop. Same job. Makes it a lot more easier and efficient to do. All right, that might have been slightly out of time. All right, you can just see that the hot cues there that are start of the phrases are actually out of time. It looks like 4 beats out of time maybe. Would the audience know over this mix? I'm not too sure, because you can also see there's not many sounds in this track that's coming in next. Again, another way of, let's say, momentum mixing, where you're getting straight to that key point in the track a little bit faster. All right, another thing that I've noticed, just a technical thing on, I'm assuming you're using a webcam to film your decks over the top here. All right, that is something that I do as well. And to stop that auto zoom going in and out, it is a problem. You can just download an app. I'll put a screenshot of the app up here. So if you do want it, if anyone else uses a webcam and you find that autofocus, it was really annoying for me. It's not very expensive. I do think you have to pay for it, but I'll put a screenshot of that app up there for Macs that you can use to stop that. Okay, it'll stop the, just turn autofocus off and it'll stop that auto zoom in and out, which can be annoying. All right, nice. That was a very, very quick kind of drop swap. So it was just over around 8 beats, just started the next track. So both the drops lined up and moved across the screen at the same time, and then just switched them over. That's actually really good. It sounded good and would really work with a live audience. Right, so let's watch one more mix and we'll move on to someone else. It's very good though, very fast paced mixing. I'm not sure why we're starting this track 4 beats in. That's coming in next. I like the use of the low EQ dials as well. Not too much messing around with the mids and highs. Just make sure the basses don't clash. That's one thing I always preach all the time. All right, so that's out of time by the looks of it. All right, so that wasn't the cleanest mix. I think it might have been a bit out of time as well. All right, so we're using a loop. All right, nice. So it's quite high energy. What I noticed on that last mix though, is that they used the low frequency equalizer dial and the high pass filter. I've mentioned this in other videos, there's no need to do that. They both do exactly the same thing. If you turn this high pass filter to the right hand side, what it does is it cuts the low frequencies out. If you've already got the low frequencies removed, you don't need to do both. Okay, they do exactly the same thing. Either use one or the other. I see this online as well in some tutorials where people remove the lows and then start twisting the frequency dial to the right. It's kind of ineffective, especially if you're not turning it too far. So let's just watch this again. All right, so it's only pointing to around 1, 2 o'clock on the dial. So that's only just cutting a little bit of the lows out, but the lows are gone anyway. So there's no need to be doing 2 of these at the same time. Overall, that mix was really energetic, really good for YouTube. It is only an 8-minute long video, so I really like that. One thing I suggest to my students is doing shorter mixes like this of say 10 minutes long and also doing long 60-minute videos to get as much practice in as possible. You get more repetitions with shorter videos. So instead of just doing one long 60-minute video, you can also chop that up into 6 10-minute videos as well. So you're getting your frequency out there online a little bit more and making more YouTube videos that might attract more audience and show people what you can do more. When it comes to a live DJ set though, I don't know if this pace is sustainable. Unless you're planning a 1 hour set, say at a festival, it might work. But if you're DJing live regularly, week in, week out at a residency and doing say a 5 hour DJ set, this kind of pace is not sustainable. You would want the tracks to play a little bit longer and do less loops and less chopping and changing. But overall, it's an entertaining mix for YouTube and I did enjoy it. Alright, so we've got another mix here by Apollo 9. It's a chilled hip hop and R&B mix, which I absolutely love DJing that style of music. The only problem with this is I just think it's just going to have some visuals instead of seeing the decks or waveforms or software. Let's have a listen. Yeah. Alright, now even though I would love to listen to this for a YouTube video, if you do send me videos like this, it's not very entertaining for you guys watching at home. And it's not as easy for me to provide feedback on either, as I can't actually see what you're doing. So I'm going to skip this one. And any others that I come across that are just visuals like this, that are just audio, I'm not really going to review and watch on the channel. For that main reason that it is a YouTube video and it's not going to be very entertaining for people watching at home. Alright, so next one, we've got an Instagram reel here, which is absolutely fine as well. We can get some Instagram reels on this as well, as long as I can see what you're doing, which we can here. One of the first tips I would give for social media though is just try and film specifically for social media in portrait mode. I have done this in the past as well, where you take a long form video like this, maybe a YouTube video, cut it up and put it on social media, but it doesn't interact the best with the audience. If you do have a DJ mix that you want to put on YouTube, film it landscape like this, and then film it all again in portrait mode with a phone. It'll just be a little better suited for social media. But let's have a listen to this mix, see how it sounds. And she right there, she know why she came here, and she know where her clothes to be. Sniff a little coat, take a little egg. Alright, so straight away I'm seeing some kind of like replica vinyls, turntables here, and a few buttons on the mixer. So that to me generally signals to me a scratch DJ, or someone that can do a bit of scratching or turntablism, which is not really something that I delve into. That's this also because the pitch faders up on the top here. That's usually what scratch DJs do. So I'm interested to hear how this sounds. Smoke a little weed, drink a little bit. I need a girl I can freak with, the way I try shit, and ain't scared of a big dick. Love to get a pussy lick by another bitch, cause I ain't drunk enough to do that. Alright, one of the first things I would say for social media is just get into the mix a little bit faster. People's attention spans are a lot shorter. They want quick hits of entertainment and dopamine. You need to be getting to the mix like within the first few seconds. So I'm assuming you're going to start mixing now, so I probably have started the video around here. Let's have a watch. Alright, nice. Alright, nice quick mix there. It looked like you pressed play out of time, but it sounded good in the end. A nice quick choppy mix. Let's keep watching, see if we've got any more mixes here. Got my ex trying to put me on a block list. It's always somebody ex trying to pop shit. It was flat then. She got ass shots. Now they cheer for her. She got mascots. Now she hit the club, baby, throw that ass out. Swear that. Again, if you're on social media, I generally just do one transition per video, unless you're going to do multiple transitions very fast in sequence, maybe just like 15 seconds of each song. So let's see how fast we mix out of this track. You can talk to me, I'ma talk, babe. I got sauce, babe. Ain't no salt, babe. I just walked in, check the walk, man. Jeans ball, man. Bitch, I'm ball lane. If I follow shorty, I ain't got an answer. She a Scorpio and fuck me like a cancer. Fucking niggas toes, I ain't got the answer. The pussy good and I had to dab a man's up. Shorty said she rock bottles. Alright, that was in time. Couple million on the gram, but you poppin' for what? Try to play me like a bird, but you down to the duck. All in my section, they fucking, but drinking bottles for what? I'm a rich ass nigga, nice. Bitch ass nigga. I'm a quick fast hit a nigga, quick fast nigga. Gotta stick, hit your bitch ass nigga. Better talk to me nice when you hit that nigga, yeah. Her mama working with some ass, yeah. Her mama like to keep it nasty. Strip club, throw a lot of racket. Shorty get freaky and nasty. Shorty get freaky and nasty. Shorty get freaky. I'm a boss ass bitch, 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 bitch. Alright, nice. So you press play on time then. It came in at full volume, which is a good technique. Sometimes I use that with hip hop and R&B. It seemed like it was 16 beats out of time though. It seemed like you press play at the start of the chorus, which is great, or at the start of a phrase, which is great, but it seemed like the intro was only 16 beats long, so you ended up cutting the chorus short. So you want to try and work backwards from the end of the chorus. So one thing that I teach is don't always press start at the start of a phrase. Sometimes intros like this one sounded like it was 16 beats long. So you're going to cut the chorus in half. So actually go back from the end of the chorus, 16 beats, and that's where you should start the intro. So then the end of the chorus ends and the start of the next vocals start. Unfortunately, on Instagram, I can't wind this back just to double check. Otherwise, I'd have wound that back and just double checked. But yeah, if your intro is basically 16 beats long, start it halfway through the chorus, not at the start of the chorus, so then it times right at the end. If you're mixing out to the middle of a chorus and you're DJing live, it is going to throw the audience off. You want to keep your transitions in time with the track's phrases, but also in time with the track's sections. All right, next one here, we have Live Techno Mix High Energy Part 7 by Antho. I think it's Antho. I think that's how that's said. Let's have a watch. Let's press it from the start. All right, so that sounds like quite a nice start. It is an hour-long mix. And with it being this kind of techno-style music, I think starting with this actually sounds pretty good. If someone wants to listen to this for a full hour, you don't have to get into it as fast. One thing I would say is maybe just get the decks involved a little bit more in the shot. Point the camera down a little bit more. Alright, it seems like it's picking up a bit of energy now. This isn't really my style of music. Alright, nice. But I know a lot of people like techno, this high energy kind of music. Alright, I'm going to flick it on, see if I can get a mix going. So you can just see here that the controller's in the shot of my kind of timeline here. So you want to try and avoid that. So ideally you want the controller a little bit higher and nothing really to be in this kind of vicinity of the timeline. And it's also cutting off some of the controller. You've got a whole frame here to use. Just try and get the decks and the important things that most people will be interested in, which is the decks. Try and get them in the shot a little bit more. Alright, I think we're going to start mixing now. Look like we're using a loop then, just exited a loop maybe. A lot of butt pressing. Alright, into another break. Let's flick it on a little bit more. Alright, I think that's another song. Here we go. Alright, now we're mixing. Bass swap at a random point. Keep pressing the loop buttons. Alright, nice. One thing I'm just going to say there is it looked like you brought the channel fader in on the next track quite fast. It's quite abrupt. With these longer techno mixes, you can take your time a little bit more, be a bit smoother. It doesn't have to be as fast and as abrupt as, let's say, hip hop and R&B. And I see you using the loops a lot as well, especially when you set a loop on the track you're mixing out of. For me, I find that a bit of a crutch, let's say. So it's like a safety mechanism, a safety loop, just to keep that loop going whilst you're mixing out. It kind of makes it so that you don't have to worry about timing as much, but it doesn't sound as good. It's just letting the tracks overlap naturally. Especially with dance music and techno music like this, you don't really want to be setting loops that much. What it's going to do is throw it out of that 32 beat time signature, and it's just going to sound a little bit off to the audience. Especially if you're doing, I'm not saying you're doing it on every mix, but I do see this, it's quite common that people just set loops just to make sure that they don't then have to worry about that track in a way. Dance music tracks like this and techno tracks are made to kind of overlap each other. Now, if you wait until the end of the track to do your transition, the sounds and elements will naturally go out of the track. And by setting a loop, you're keeping them elements in the track constantly. So it'll constantly be going, uh-oh, uh-oh, and not actually ending at the right time. So that's just a couple of pointers just from what I've seen from that small mix then is be a bit smoother with the channel fader coming in. Do your bass swap on phrase as well. It seemed like you just randomly swapped the basses, which is going to throw the audience off as well. Any kind of changes you do, you want to do them on phrase. That's when the audience naturally expect a change in a track, when sounds are added and taken away, which are usually on 32 beat blocks. And also, if you can, try and avoid any loops unless it's a creative way of mixing and you're doing it for a reason. Don't just set loops for no reason. Let's have a listen. All right, nice. Then you pull the other track out. So the loop wasn't necessary then. So it was going, uh-oh, and then you pulled it out on the next phrase anyway. So it probably wasn't even necessary. When I'm DJing and when I'm teaching DJing, I like to be as effective and efficient as possible. Don't really have to do anything unless it makes a difference. And this is where I see a lot of beginner DJs make mistakes. They tweak dials and knobs and press buttons that don't actually make a difference to the mix. But what I'll do now is we'll watch the next mix and see how that goes. It's not really fair of me just to judge him on one mix. I'm just trying to provide some feedback here and my thoughts. All right, love that energy. Really enjoying it. That's what I like to see in these mixes. People enjoying it. Playing music they enjoy. All right. Right there again, the bass swap was at a completely random time. That would really throw me off. It wasn't on phrase. It seemed like it just swapped at a random time. I wasn't anticipating that, so it did sound a bit off to me if I was like in the audience or at a festival. That would just catch me off guard. Let's keep watching though. All right, and it was seeming that you'd use the loop again to bring the next track in, which is fine if it's for timing. If you're doing it for a deliberate reason for timing, that's fine. But generally with these kind of tracks, you don't necessarily need to do that with loops. Let's keep watching. Love the energy though. All right, nice. Yeah, you pulled the track out at the right time again, but I noticed there's a loop on the track you're mixing out of. So it seems like you're using a loop to mix in and a loop to mix out. I would actually love to see the DJ software screen and watch the waveforms, as I would be able to comment a little bit more on that, being able to see the track's waveforms. But for me, just from what I can see now and what I can hear, I'm not really too sure if the loops are necessary every time. One thing I would say is just try and work on your bass swaps, try to do them on phrase, and try mix without loops. If you can do that, you will improve your timing. A lot of people, like I said, use loops as crutches to excuse themselves of not actually getting the right timing. So one thing I would suggest is try and mix them same tracks again, but without using any loops, and it will force you to make sure you have perfect timing in your transitions. There's a time and a place for loops, but I'm not sure if it was here on these tracks. But one thing I will say is that it is high energy, so I'll give you that, and I really like that you're enjoying your mixing as well. Don't think that I'm just trying to put down your mixing or try and pick up on things that are too minor. I'm just trying to help here. I'm just trying to pass on my experience and my knowledge to people that are DJing and give a few tips that will hopefully help you. All right, so there you have it. That is me just reacting and reviewing some of your DJ mixes. If you want to send a DJ mix in for me to review and provide feedback on for free, then check out the link in the description. If you want to watch another video just like this one where I provide feedback on someone's DJ mix, then check out this video that's popping up right now and you can watch that video next. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you again in the future. Bye for now.